After a few months of running Vault of Glass, expectations were high for Bungie's next raid to release in the Dark Below. Vault of Glass proved that there was more to Destiny than we initially thought, but did Crota's End live up to the expectations set by the Vault of Glass? The answer to that question will be different depending on who you ask. Crota's End is a favorite for many people, and to others, they barely even consider it to be a raid. Today I want to break the raid down a bit and go over what makes it great at times, but also a bit mediocre.
Now you must face what lurks in the dark below.
Crota's End begins with a descent into, you guessed it, the Dark Below. Now if you survived that massive fall, it was time to brave the darkness ahead and bring an end to Crota, son of Oryx. Once you step off that first plate, you start to feel heavier and you realize there's a weight of darkness building upon you. Frantically, you run towards the nearest light ahead when suddenly an army of Thrall charge at you, continually spawning from the pits in the ground. Your team realizes the weight of darkness goes down when standing next to the lamp, so you hold your ground, slaying waves of Thrall and acolytes. But then you start to realize, hey, is that lamp turning orange?
I think we need to get to that lamp times 10.
You mean the giant lamp that gets rid of the buff? Yeah, there we go. Stand next to the lamp.
Oh my god!
Stand next to the lamp! Do not stand next to the lamp!
Well, there goes Flawless Raider. Your team's next attempt goes a bit better though. This time you're on the lookout for more lamps. You fight your way to the next one, but you've already lost a man to the Thrall. The rest of you continue on without him though, scared to even attempt a revive. Upon arrival at the next lamp, you realize there's only 4 of you now. Another good man lost. Each successive lamp you lose another man until you're the very last guardian standing. And in the chaos of trying to survive, you take a misstep and fall into one of the hive's massive holes.
Run, hole.
Watch out for the hole.
Dang it.
Already, Bungie has created a great sense of fear and intensity that early on was truly difficult and unique. It wasn't until weeks later players began crushing this encounter, so the very first impressions of this raid were very strong so far. After numerous attempts, your team will eventually make it to a massive plate that will form a bridge. Your team must survive an onslaught of Thrall, acolytes, knights, and ogres, all while restricted by the 10 times weight of darkness. It was very challenging and intense. You felt cornered like it was your fire team's final stand and your backs were up against the wall. But then, the bridge finally formed. Weight of darkness was gone. It was time to run. You made it. First encounter cleared. Definitely one hell of an intro to the raid. It was intense, chaotic, and most importantly, fun. The lamps encounter, especially early on, was extremely strong, and it did make a great first impression for the Crota's End raid. But now, it was on to the bridge encounter. The light you stepped through acted as some kind of portal, bringing us into Crota's throne world. You look down below, you see another plate, and another bridge. Time to go stand on that plate to form that bridge, right?
Wrong. That is absolutely
Wrong.
Well, actually, it is right, but also stand on the left and right totems at the same time, or else this'll happen.
I'm heading level, I'm heading to left with Noah.
Whoa!
Do we want to stand next to these things? Oh god!
I don't think we did so good, guys.
I nearly made her totem.
So what do we learn?
The objective is to defeat sword bearers and carry their swords one at a time across the bridge once it's formed. On the other side of the bridge is a gatekeeper that must be killed by the sword before the time runs out on that sword. You must do this 3 times before the roles switch, and the other side of the bridge must hold down the plates for the rest of the team to cross. While obviously nobody cleared this the first try, the bridge encounter proved to be fairly easy with simple mechanics and difficulty. And after clearing it, players realized, oh crap, are we already at Crota? Well, not quite, but it did seem like the raid was flying by very fast. The best way to summarize the bridge encounter was, it was too short and too easy. It was over as soon as it started, and players almost felt like they hadn't even completed a full encounter. Something just felt off about it. Ultimately though, with Age of Triumph, the updated bridge encounter felt just a bit more complete thanks to the swords for the entire team to slay the gatekeepers towards the end. Now before the descent to Crota's final room, the mini encounter known as the Thrallway actually kicked me and my team's ass quite a few times. Especially later when we learned about the secret chest, we wiped a bunch until we could make sure we got it.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh.
And
Second wrecked huge. I was like right there.
While we were in the final room, there was still another obstacle to clear before facing Crota. That being the Deathsinger, a boss that at the time didn't even drop any rewards for defeating her. The encounter itself was a bit underwhelming and poorly designed if I'm being honest. Difficulty only came from the massive number of bullet sponge knights everywhere. The mechanics weren't challenging in the slightest, and because loot didn't even drop, people ended up skipping this fight any chance they could. Most people ran the raid to this point, then found someone with a Crota checkpoint, and began from there. The Deathsinger fight is a big reason I believe why people always joked about how this raid was actually just a 6-man strike. So far, the intro and the first encounter have been great, but the next 2 encounters of this raid have ultimately been disappointing. But how did the final boss Crota fare? Did he live up to something like the Atheon fight? Now, Crota is a tough one for me because on one hand, I really love this fight. The feeling of vulnerability due to non-regenerating health, slaying a god with his own sword, sharing the chalice, coordinating burn kills on the massive ogres. There's some things I really just love about this fight. But on the other hand, it was completely broken with sword despawning, which I recently found is still a problem and has not been fixed. The fact that if you weren't sword bearing, it kind of felt a bit uneventful. On top of that, there were a numerous amount of glitches that just ruined the experience. Crota at times could be your biggest nightmare. But at the end of the day, Crota was a good raid boss that I enjoyed running more than I disliked it. Sure, it could be frustrating, but a majority of my memories with Crota were very positive. Nothing beats the loot either. It wasn't as good as Vault of Glass loot, but they were still pretty nice. Black Hammer, for example, was a staple for my loadout throughout the remainder of Year 1 alongside my Galahorn and Fatebringer. Glowhoo was amongst one of the coolest shaders, and Necrochasm looked cool as hell. But really, Bungie? How did something this terrible get into the game? Necrochasm is awful. In conclusion though, I believe Crota's End started off very strong, dragged a bit throughout the middle with a few disappointing encounters, but ended up finishing fairly strong as well. The reprised version released in the Age of Triumph towards the end of Destiny 1 is much better and does the raid more justice and brings its quality up a bit with the addition of a few extra mechanics and challenges thrown in. And while I can't say it's my favorite, Crota's End was definitely a good time and I will always remember it fondly. But that's going to be it for my thoughts on the raid. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the most epic Crota raid glitches to this day.
What the hell? What the? Wait, where the hell did Gatekeeper come from? Already down.
Wait, you're in with the radius of the light, but you're not going to get hit by the explosion. But when it does explode, this happens. Now you get launched all the way up here, and basically what you need to do is you need to follow my path.
Pretty much this is a new Crota cheese that makes Crota kneel down on one knee permanently, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Now by leave Destiny, I mean press the Xbox button and go to the dashboard, and then press start over the Destiny app and hit quit. So the second Crota's knee touches the ground, that person has to hit quit, the leader of the fire team. Now if done correctly, Crota will stay on one knee and never get back up, and if done right, then you can kill Crota within 1 to 2 times of holding the sword.